Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about something that comes up a lot when it comes to fragrance enthusiasm, and it is tester bottles. I have here two bottles of Hugo Boss The Scent. One is a tester that someone lent me, and one is just the classic Hugo Boss The Scent. And I don't know if you guys have heard this, but many people claim that tester bottles, the ones that are usually offered in perfumeries or in the mall, when they want you to take one home or when they want you to try it, they will usually spray the tester bottle. And a lot of people claim that these tester bottles are made in a special way so that the fragrance will last longer, so that the fragrance will project better, and then that way you will want to return and take that fragrance home with you. So we're gonna see if that is true, if it's a myth. We're gonna be doing also a small review of Hugo Boss The Scent. But before we get there, I want to remind you to please check out my new Instagram page, which I will be linking down below, and also my Facebook page. But most importantly, I want to remind you to subscribe to my channel. So before we get into the whole tester versus non-tester, I want to talk a little bit about the scent from Hugo Boss first. This is a fragrance that I enjoy a lot. I recommended it in the top Father's Day fragrances. I like wearing it personally all the time. I think it's pretty much unisex, honestly. Like, yes, it's a little more masculine than it's feminine for sure, but I think this is a really sexy fragrance on guys, and I mean, I don't know if it's a sexy fragrance on girls, but I like wearing it all the time. And I have the notes here. It is an aromatic leathery fragrance, though to be fair, I don't pick up any leather from this fragrance at all. I mean, of course it's there, but I don't really get any. So the top notes are bergamot and mandarin, and it also has some ginger, which I do get a little bit of ginger. And then it also has some lavender, and it has maninka, which I have no idea what that is, and then some woody notes. It's just this really nice, sort of sweet, aromatic fragrance. For me, it doesn't last very long. I'm sure the intense version lasts a little bit longer, and it projects okay. The testers, as I was saying, are fragrances that are usually just kind of put in any department stores for people to try out, to take a decant home, or to try on their skin, on blotter papers. Yes, I'm using index cards. So I actually sprayed Hugo Boss The Scent in these two here. I have here the tester, no, here the regular, and here the tester version. And I have been playing around with these two on my skin for the past few days. And to be honest, I have found that the tester does project a lot better on my skin. I did not notice that it lasted any longer, but it did smell a lot more intensely. And I even asked those around me, and they agreed that the tester smelled a lot more intensely. And I even sprayed them here. Right off the bat, again, I can totally tell this is the tester because it smells more intensely, but we're going to see if that is simply a myth or not. In my experience, this is a tester, also L'Impératrice. When I purchased it, I knew that it was a fragrance that didn't really last very long or didn't project really that long at all. But I have found that on me, it lasts a lot longer than it lasts on people who have read in Fragrantica or who I've spoken to who own that fragrance. They don't think it lasts long at all. So why is this? A lot of people think that fragrance companies invest in making like this totally new formulation only so that the tester fragrance will smell a little bit more intensely, last a little bit longer, and that way you will fall in love with this said fragrance, come back and purchase it. I don't think that's the case at all. I've been doing some research about tester fragrances, and I have found people who agree with me that it's really not worth it or convenient for fragrance companies to spend extra money in formulating just a very particular fragrance or formula, for a fragrance that will then be displayed as a tester, just in case, so that maybe a small percentage of customers will maybe come back and get it. It really doesn't make sense. It's really not worth it for them financially. I mean, who knows, maybe they do it. I personally think there are other reasons why testers do smell or last a little bit longer. So the tester is still here smelling a lot more intensely. So if it's not a formulation situation, like I was saying that it's my opinion, then it's not, and many people agree with me that testers do smell a little bit more intensely, that they are somewhat different, then what is the cost for this? An explanation that I was reading about and then I really kind of agree with is the fact that most department stores have extremely bright lights. So tester fragrances are placed for weeks, months, years, for however long They're there to be tried out and aren't sold under these extremely bright lights. And of course, if you know how sensitive fragrances are, you know that they're going to be affected by lighting, especially very strong synthetic lighting. And what does a lot of time is that it breaks down the molecules of the top notes of the fragrance, of those notes that are not as long lasting, are not as potent, that they're going to evaporate much earlier than the base notes. So that's what happens. The top notes kind of, disintegrate and evaporate at a much quicker pace, and then the base notes and the middle notes stay there. So when we pick up a tester bottle, what we get the most of are the middle notes and the bottom notes, and so we smell the more intense version of the fragrance. So rather than having a more intense fragrance on itself, we're simply smelling a more intense, oilier version of the same fragrance. That could be an explanation. So another potential explanation for this is that many malls or department stores keep non-reformulated versions of the fragrance in its backup, because a lot of times, if not every time honestly, fragrances are reformulated, which really sucks. We all hate it because we love a particular fragrance, and then L'Oreal or Clarins comes and just like F's up the fragrance with their reformulation. So that way, a lot of times fragrances lose their longevity, they become less intense, they project less well. But if you're going to a mall or a department store or wherever that maybe not a lot of people go there, or maybe doesn't have many backups, or maybe the certain fragrance that you're looking to test is not very popular, chances are that some of the testers that they keep are still the non-reformulated kind, which would then mean that those are going to last a little bit longer, project a little bit longer, all that stuff. And that could be the reason why when you test a fragrance at a mall, it lasts somewhat longer than when you do purchase the normal version. Another potential reason that is also worth mentioning is the fact that fragrances do change in the bottle itself. A fragrance that you purchased like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, even literally like a year or two ago, is never going to smell the same as a fragrance that you just bought and that hopefully has been put in the bottle not too long ago. It's always going to smell completely different. So it is possible that testers have been in there for way longer, and that's why they smell differently. But yeah, it's also kind of crazy to think that nowadays people prefer a lot softer fragrances than they did back in like the 80s and the 90s. Like if you look back, fragrances that were popular in the time, like Angel, Opium, they would never really be super popular nowadays. People want to smell a lot fresher and lighter, so it's kind of crazy to think that fragrance companies would want to sell these or like present rather as their testers these fragrances that are super formulated or intense. Like if anything, they would want to present much more lighter ones, which is why I think the whole tester being intense is more of like a side effect than it is their purpose. But really, who knows? All I know is that these two still smell completely different. I can totally tell this is the tester just by smelling it. Like it's a lot more intense. Who knows what the reason is, but that's just facts that they do smell very differently, at least with Hugo Boss The Scent. I have talked to fragrance department employees or just people who know about this stuff, and they have told me that a lot of times fragrance testers have less alcohol on purpose. So that could just be part of the whole formulation thing. I would believe that part rather than just making like a whole like parfum concentration versus eau de toilette, like some people say. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. So one last thing I did notice about the tester bottle that I wanted to bring up really quick is the fact that the tester has a sort of thicker spray. Like when you do spray it, you get a more thicker juice, and with the non-tester you get a lighter one. And I don't really know if that's just coincidence with these two, if it's some sort of accident, or it could be part of everything that we're talking about, that the tester has less alcohol and it's a little bit more concentrated. Who knows really, but all I know is that in the case of L'Impératrice, the testers always last way longer on my skin. Not way longer, but a little bit longer, and they definitely project a lot better and they're more intense. Not only that, but testers are usually a lot cheaper, especially online. So I 100% recommend not only that you check out Hugo Boss The Scent, but that you yourself start getting some way cheaper testers from online. I want to thank you guys for watching this. Please make sure to leave me in the comments your experiences with tester fragrances, if you think there is any difference at all, and to subscribe to my YouTube channel, of course, to leave me a like, to check out my Instagram page and my Facebook page. Thank you.